So the iPad Pro M4 has been the fastest mobile device I've ever used, scoring better than 98% of devices. And today it's going to take on the iPad Air M1, not the M2, the M1 here, to see how far ahead has it come. And maybe if you want to upgrade your iPad Air to the iPad Pro 11-inch, this could be a good comparison for you as well. So we have the iPad Pro M4 on the left and the iPad Air M1 on the right. So we're going to go ahead and kill the lights real quick. Hold on. And we're going to plug in both of these cords. And when I hit the switch downstairs, which is actually below the desk here, we'll have an exact accurate boot up time here on both of them. So USB-C on both. Let's go ahead and hit the switch. And now we should have an exact accurate time. Turn off the camera light up there, and we can actually pull these out now. Doesn't really matter at this point. Tell me if you like that boot up test style better. Maybe we'll consider that for the future. And you've seen, surprisingly, the iPad Air M1 did turn on faster than the Pro, and that's exactly accurate because we did hit the switch. So they're turning on exactly same time, and the iPad Air for some reason booted up faster than the new Pro. All right, so when it comes to the biometrics, if we take a look at the iPad Pro M4, you kind of are just looking at Face ID here. Man, I just love how light this product is. It is so thin and light. You can definitely feel it for sure on the 11-inch. Also on the 13-inch, it's much lighter as well, but it just feels so portable on this 11-inch. It's really quite a joy to hold in the hand, but very fast on the biometrics. No Touch ID here, which I actually prefer on the iPad. Face ID is off to the right though, so sometimes it can miss if I'm in portrait, but it's pretty rare. It is actually pretty rare. Most of the time you're going to be in landscape anyway. Now on the iPad Air M1, we do have Touch ID. And Touch ID on this one is actually over here at the top, so you can kind of just get in like that. It's about as fast. Of course, you don't need to use your face, but I just find it to be a little bit more inconvenienced, especially when, you know, you got to reach up there. If you're in landscape though, like let's say you have this thing on a Magic Keyboard, for example, and then you come over here, and you try to use that. Yeah, so that's kind of what happens there. You have to go over there. So it's a little bit slower, a little bit clunkier, but overall, the M2, M1 iPad Air still has pretty nice unlocking because it has Touch ID. It's just not as good as Face ID in my opinion. All right, so when it comes to the software, we are on iOS 17.5.1 on both of them. And honestly speaking, I don't even see a massive difference scrolling. Yes, the 60 Hertz is noticeable, but I think it's actually more noticeable when you're like scrolling a web page. All right, so here we are at the app test. All apps are lined up on both. To confirm M1, you can see right there, Apple M1. And then over here, we do have ourselves, this is gonna take a second, the ARM at 4.4 gigahertz. This is at 3.19, both on 17.5.1. Both have 8 gigs of RAM on board. So let's go ahead and go into calendar. You can see maybe faster on the Pro a little bit. We'll go into clock. Let's go into stopwatch, timers, world clock. Swipe up out of there. Let's go into weather. Faster on the left, but by a millisecond. Let's get up out of there. Freeform. That was a little faster on the left. Let me back it out a little bit. We do have a little bit of weirdness down there. So let's get up out of there. We're going into App Store. And you can see App Store, I think it was faster on the Pro. We'll hit games. Faster on the Pro. Apps. Faster on the left than on the right. So you could see a little bit of bump on the left. I don't think that little bit of bump is going to make a big difference in your daily iPad use though. I really don't. Especially in just daily use. Let's go into YouTube. Faster on the left, for sure. Step out of here. We'll go into Starbucks. And I can't open the Instagram or Twitter, Facebook, those things, because this iPad is loaned to me. This is not mine. So I'm not opening their social media apps. Let's go into Groupon. So if you're wondering, like, where's the Instagram, where's the Twitter? I think that was faster on the Pro. Yeah, a little faster on the Pro to retail. About the same there. Again, this stuff is not going to make a major difference. All right, so let's go into Amazon, and you can see faster on the left. So this goes to show you that the people are using this for just like daily use, regular iPad use, is not going to really benefit from getting a Pro. I mean, it almost feels just like a luxury. It really does. Let's go to Subway Surf. There is a niche crowd of people out there who do use these iPad Pros for pro stuff to replace everything. But even them, I do feel like even a lot of them can actually get like everything done, even on like an Air 13. Like that thing ain't slow. The M2 is not slow. Let's go into Dead Trigger 2 right here. 3, 2, go. But if you don't have a TV in your room, or the TV's being hogged up by someone else, and you love to consume media, that OLED display, bro, get the Pro, man. The OLED display is worth every penny just for that. We have to lock rotation here. Hold on. Get the OLED display for that. But just for like a productivity or just general iPad use day to day, I think you're throwing money away if you're not really going to take advantage. Let's go into PUBG Mobile of the M4. In things like Luma, Adobe, iMovie, Final Cut, Resident Evil, Genshin Impact, PUBG Mobile. Like, if you're not doing these kind of things, general iPad use, it's either that or you really want the lightness. That's a big deal too. Let's get up out of here. That just makes me think that like these, hold on. That just makes me think that these base iPads, even like the base one, what is it, like the base iPad, the 10.9, like even that is probably a good deal as well. You can get those for like $2.99 on Amazon. I'll throw a link down below. Let's go into Free Fire. You have to apply the coupon, but you can get it for about $2.99 right now. That's insane. The iPad, what is it, 10th generation? I think that's what it is. I'm still waiting for the next version of that. That's going to be a big deal, but that's probably going to go up in price to like $4.99 to start or $3.99. So right now it's a steal on the 10th gen. Let's go into Temple Run 2. Only issue is that has a A14 Bionic, which I think was on the iPhone 12 series. So that chip is pretty old. You can see right there. But I think Apple's chip game is so strong that even if you get a used Apple product, iPad, iPhone, you're still getting some life left out of those babies. Let's go into Jetpack Joyride. And you'll see right here, it's seeming like the iPad Pro is starting to pull ahead now. The M4, bang, right in. It's pulling ahead in a lot of areas, but not by a ton. I'm really going to see, we're going to see it pull ahead a ton though in the benchmarks. Let's go into Geekbench 6. This is actually not optimized yet for the iPad Pro M4. Let's go into Speed Test. And which one was that? Let's go into iMovie. Faster on the left. You can see they're advertising Final Cut down there for iPad. We'll go into, there's a con to that though. It's not a one-time purchase. Faster on the left. Let's go into 3D Mark. Faster on the left. And InShot. Faster on the left. So overall, the iPad Pro won this test. It was faster in a lot of departments, most departments actually. But the difference is that the iPad Pro has the OLED display. It does have a little bit more power when you actually play the games and stuff like that. So it will pull ahead. But I think generally the M1, even if you find this refurbished or used, is a really good deal still. Even if you don't want to go to the full M2, the one that just came out, the 13 or 11. All right, so let's check the reloads here on this iPad here. Buttery smooth. Really, the thing that blows me away about this new iPad is not really the performance. Well, it does kind of, but it's the smooth, hold on. It's the smooth, light feel to it. It's just light, smooth, fast. But it really, what stuns you every time is that display. Apple knew what they were doing by double stacking that OLED display to get you that extra brightness and to get you that super vivid look. Every time you look at this panel, you're like, dang, that is a nice screen. And that is the true selling point to me of the new iPad. You've seen it just crushed in the RAM management though. I can tell you just holding this one already, it feels chunkier. It feels clunkier like overall, but it doesn't feel bad. It still feels premium. It almost feels like the iPad Pro is just a polished refinement. It reminds me a lot of like a cheaper iPhone to a Pro Max iPhone. That's kind of like what it is here. You know, this is more like a base iPhone, and that's more like a, which one were we on right there? That Trigger 2? That one is more like a Pro Max kind of phone. Let's go over here to, or that would be the Pro, and then the 13-inch OLED would be the Pro Max. But you can see, even on the M1 iPad, it doesn't reload anything. This thing's a beast. Here, and then if you go right here to Stage Manager, you can also run Stage Manager on this thing, no problem. Let's go ahead and show you. So you can bring apps in here, no issues whatsoever. You can resize them. This gets a little bit getting used to here, but it definitely works just fine. And the resizing and all that, it works great. So Stage Manager works excellent on here as well. So the M1 still performs very well, although it's definitely not going to out benchmark the iPad Pro, as we're going to check right here. All right, so the benchmarks are done here, and you can see if you take a look at the single core, the iPad Pro outbenches the iPad Air by over 1,000, like 1,400 points there. But that's still a respectable score on the M1, and the multi-core is still very high for the M1 at 8738. So I do think you're going to be able to run almost all of your stuff here, multitasking on both of these pretty easily. Although the iPad Pro gives you some headroom for longevity, so this is a good investment if you plan to keep it a super long time. The iPad Pro M4 with that 1331 on that multi, that gives a headroom for the future and AI and all that stuff. So it's definitely more of a future-proof purchase, but the benchmarks were pretty respectable on the M1. So it's still a good used or refurb pickup. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the 3D Mark benchmark. We're going to do the extreme test here. Let's go over here and find it. We'll do the Wildlife Extreme, and I'm going to go ahead and start on both. 3, 2, go. And this is an area I do believe that the iPad Pro M4 is going to really jump out ahead on the iPad Air M1. In the graphics, they look so smooth and so slick with that OLED display. It is pretty sick. I'll be back when they're done with this test. Okay, so this is kind of telling you the story right here. We're only at 18, 20 to 20 FPS here. And the final result for the iPad Pro here scores better than 98% of devices, as we've seen before if you've watched my iPad Pro speed test. But pay attention to this FPS here, because this is the big thing. 51.3 FPS. And as you can see along the chart, it maintained it for a while. It jumps a little bit between 34 and 65, but it maintained the same battery during that test. But at 8573, but that 51 FPS means super smooth gaming, even in those games that will push it to like a console level. Now over here on the Wildlife Extreme test, I don't know what I did there. Wildlife Extreme test, you can see this is only scoring better than 37% of other errors, but take a look at this. Still better than 91% of all other devices that do this test. That's telling you that if you bought an iPad Air M1, not an M2, the M1, even cheaper, still better than 90% of devices on the market. That shows you how far ahead Apple Silicon really is. You'll see the 4702 and a 28.2 FPS. Now that FPS there, you can see maintained a little bit longer. Let's actually go to the chart here. You'll see it maintained a little bit longer, and then it dropped towards the end. So as it warms up, it looks like the frames will drop. But 28.2 FPS is going to be enough to play even some heavier games at pretty decent graphics. So I don't think you're going to struggle too much on either of these. I will tell you that iPad Air feels a little warmer than this iPad Pro, but pretty respectable there on the M1 as well. All right, so we have the same iMovie here. I do have, it's like a 1-minute clip here on both of them. Funny enough, it's of a Samsung phone. Whatever. We're going to go ahead and render these out. So I'm going to go ahead and click save video at the same time, and we'll see which one can export this project first. 3, 2, go. And we'll see if that M4 really pulls ahead, because everybody says, oh, you're not doing the render. That's where it's really going to pull ahead. Well, iMovie is very well optimized for Apple devices. So we'll see if this changes too much here on this export. And you can see the iPad Pro M4 did finish substantially faster. So that is correct. Those statements about the video render really shows it. That's only a 1 minute clip. As that clip extends, if it's a 10-20 minute video, that would pull out way ahead of this product. So that's definitely showcasing a little bit more. Now we'll go ahead and run a speedtest.net. We'll start over here to see if this can pull in better internet speeds. Let me make sure I'm on the same server here for both of these. And you'll see we're pulling in around 480. I've seen higher on iPhone even than that, but that could just be the day. It is raining outside right now, so I wonder if that's affecting things. Probably not. These signals these days are much higher tech than they used to be, where just a little bit of rain would have messed up the internet. Not anymore. You'll see 23 on the upload. Let's go ahead and try the iPad Air, see if it gets around the same download. It should pull in the same, or wow, same server pulling in better. Coming back down now, 496. This is a little better. This one did a little bit better. And you can see, but generally the difference between 40 Mbps is really not much. The upload about the same as well, a little bit less than the iPad Pro. So definitely they can pull in around the same Wi-Fi. Look at those colors though. You see how like grayish this looks and darker? That's because of the contrast ratio of the OLED display. That's really a big difference here. All right, so let's wrap it up. The iPad Pro M4 from the iPad Air M1. Is this a good upgrade? If you want to display a lighter design, you want to do a little bit more on your iPad, yes, this is a great upgrade. If you're looking to change the way you use an iPad and it's just going to be a life-changing experience change, no. The iPad Air M1 can support the Magic Keyboard, as you can see with the connectors down there. So does this. This has an Apple Pencil support. So does this. They both support Stage Manager. What you can actually do on them is just going to be nicer, more luxurious on this product here. Thinner, lighter, better display, polished. And if those things you value, you'll love this upgrade. But overall, there's one thing still holding it back. It doesn't have a full operating system. It has iPad OS. And while that's still a great operating system for mobile touch base, I do think there needs to be more enhancements. I'm not saying we need Mac OS, but there needs to be more enhancements to really separate the Pro from the Airs, because they're not really that different. Really, they really aren't. They're just better chips, better screens. Mostly that's what I've been experiencing, but that's just my take on it. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more iPad versus phone versus other iPad comparisons, Galaxy tabs, just give me some of your ideas. Maybe I'll consider them if I have them. I do have another iPad speed test coming though. It's already planned. So I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well and peace.